Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 381 for the 11th of March for the Ukraine war, or the Russo-Ukraine war, or the Russian special military operation in Ukraine. I know there are a lot of new guys have been following DPA. Just subscribe, and some of you guys wonder where to find this map. Is in the description. The map currently is behind the paywall. You have to become a patron on the Patreon to access the map. So let's move on directly to the main biggest news in the Ukraine war over the past 24 hours. Is actually not in Bakhmut. It's actually in the Avdiivka Front. So at the Avdiivka Front, the big situation happening in Avdiivka is the breakthrough of the Russian forces in the north of Avdiivka. So the Russian forces have broke through the northern area of Avdiivka in these directions. So especially what happened is actually in Krasnohorivka and in this area between Kamyanka and Krasnohorivka. If this is actually information corroborated or actually reported by Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source. So this is not Russian propaganda. And according to Deep State UA's mapping, the Russian forces have actually captured most of Krasnohorivka. According to their information, they say that the Russian forces have gained a foothold in Krasnohorivka with an A, which means Avdiivka, and towards Kamyanka. So the Russian forces currently, they have already entered and can probably entrenched within Krasnohorivka itself, and they are actually on the verge of capturing the entire of Krasnohorivka. The Ukrainians currently still is holding the line, but I got a feeling they are not going to be able to hold because the main defenses are actually here. It's actually along the road, away from Krasnohorivka itself. They did try to entrench themselves. According to information, there is an entrenchment in the satellite image. However, it looks like the entrenchment is actually very light. It's not very heavy here. It's actually more towards here, into the near the road, where you can see the entrenchments. Once this breakthrough had happened, now with the Russian forces already within Krasnohorivka, they are likely to capture, and they actually can move out away from Krasnohorivka soon. And in between Kamyanka and Krasnohorivka, there is also a breakthrough. And according to the front line mapped by the Deep State UA, the Russian lines previously was here, has already progressed to here, which means because this is from pro-Ukrainian source, we can actually verify 100% that this is exactly what's happening for the Russian side. Because if this is just a pro-Russian report, then of course there is a possibility that it's just misinformation, propaganda, or hopium. But however, this is not, which is why this is actually highly credible. And fighting is also reported at Kamyanka. So far, the front line here is still uncertain. Both Deep State UA and Briba both map Kamyanka and as largely in the gray zone. However, the based on the whatever I can see, it looks like the Russian forces is also about to capture Kamyanka. And and other than on the northern part, the southern part is also under severe pressure on the Ukrainian side, with the Russian forces attacking southwest of Avdiivka, towards Siversk, towards Donetsk, and at Pervomaysk. Information coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, Russian Defense Ministry, as well as War Gonzo, a pro-Russian media. So the Russian forces is actually attacking from the Opitny direction towards Avdiivka, towards Siversk, towards Donetsk, around the Vuhledar region, and at Pervomaysk. So this is part of the bigger pincer movement that is very similar to the situation at Bakhmut, where the Russian forces is actually trying to do a major pincer as well as putting up pressure, closing up the encirclement around Avdiivka. This to know more about this, I already have done an analysis on this front line. The link is in the description or at the end of this video. Do check it out. And the other major front line, of course, is not to be missed, Bakhmut. At the Bakhmut front, we have the fighting continue around Bakhmut city and Bakhmut itself. Of significance is actually the not say breakthrough, but the vanguard of the Russian forces crossing over the Bakhmutovka River into the region around the road of Ziznian Street. So, or Zinian Street, with the Russian forces crossing, and then they are trying to build a bridgehead around here. There's a high chance that they will then flank up, capture the bridge area so that they can put a pontoon across and allow them to cross into the rest of Bakhmut much easier. Otherwise, there is also breakthrough for the Wagner forces or the Russian forces over in the southwestern part of Bakhmut. With the front line previously was around like this. Now is now extended with the Russian forces pushing out and capturing even more ground. Previously the front line is around here. So let me use another color. Probably would be previously was around like this. So now they have moved to a new line like this. So the Russian forces continue to push the Ukrainian backwards in these directions, and there's also fighting reported from Opine direction. Opine directions information is coming from Wargonzo, and the information around the southwest of Bakhmut coming from Suryat Maps and Ryba. Ryba reported fighting near the MiG-17 monument, which is actually in this position here. So the fighting here probably is still very tough. It's unlikely to have a quick breakthrough at this location because the Ukrainians are holding a very strong line in this area, and there is high buildings here. These high buildings is going to have a direct impact as they have fire control over the region. It makes going close to this front line or this area here around the high building is going to be very difficult. Away from this area, in the north, we have also fighting reported at the Azom. So the Atimorsk ZOM, which is actually the metal processing plant. It's all in Russian, so I forgot the full name. I think is it Azom plant, Atomos metal processing plant. Yeah, it's in Russian, so I cannot pronounce the whole thing. So anyway, the Russian forces are now reportedly fighting within the plant region. Currently, it is a stronghold of the Ukrainian forces. As you can see, the icon is in blue, with the Ukrainians entrenching this entire industrial region, similar to Mariupol and the Azov-style plant. And around Bakhmut, where the greater Bakhmut is in the Bakhmut front, in the southwest or western part of Bakhmut, we have fighting reported at Ivanivsky. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, Ryba, the pro-Russian source, reported that the fighting here is largely positional, so which means that there is actually no active ground offensive to push into Ivanivsky. So positional simply means that they are sitting in position and they are simply firing at the Ukrainian forces in their position that is probably on the other side. So they're just shooting at each other, pew, pew, like that, shoot. Okay, so and then but there is interesting information coming from Wargonzo, the pro-Russian source, saying that the Wagner forces is currently pushing towards Stupushki, and also Ryba also reported that the Russian forces, the Wagner forces actually, to be more specific, is carrying out raids, on the roads to Chasivya and Konstantinivka. So which means that they are sending some recon forces, into the forest or probably through the forest line, and try to do some raids of the Ukrainian forces or Ukrainian positions along the road, and then they run away, and then they escape away, just to create harassment, so that the Ukrainians will feel very unsafe to use the roads. The similar situation is happening over on the northern road, over at the Kromove Chasivya road, which is actually this road here. The Russian forces is carrying out the same kind of operation, but this time from this area is actually much more nearer, as the front line is much nearer to the road itself. And further up north, there is more progress in this region of Zaliniansky and Orikhovo-Vasilivka. The front line have continued to push along the highway with the Russian forces previously around this position. They are now around this position as they are continuing to push on the road, as well as towards Orikhovo-Vasilivka, and fighting at Zaliniansky. The fighting reported at Zaliniansky continued to be on the outskirts, according to the pro-Russian source Ryba, and this information is this location is actually also name dropped by the Russian Defense Ministry, as they dropped the name Zelenyanskoye, showing that they are actually taking the fighting around this region rather seriously. The most weird situation is actually reported by Military Chronicles, a pro-Russian source, that based on their preliminary data, as per the morning of March 12th, which means that over the past 24 hours, the Orekhovo-Vasilievka has been captured by the Wagner private military contractors, and they say that it's currently being cleaned up. This is only being reported by Military Chronicles, and Military Chronicles is not a primary source by DPA. It's a secondary source, so it's a question mark. We do not we only view this as rumors, unless this can be corroborated. So this will be a litmus test, for Military Chronicles. If this information can be verified within the next 2-3 days, then Military Chronicles can will upgrade its status within my sources, so that I can take their information more seriously, because tentatively I'm only going to see it as a rumor, because no one else is actually reporting this. Not this deep state UA, not RIBA, so it does feels a little premature. And oh, see, this is wrong icon. In even larger area, we have reinforcement reported at Kramatorsk. According to RIBA, the Pro-Russian source, they say that there's a battalion of unidentified unit arriving at Kramatorsk. So probably is a territorial defense, or it could be troops that was training overseas finally being sent to the front. And moving away to the next major front line is actually in the Kreminna front. So at the Kreminna front, fighting, according to the pro-Russian side, they say that it's resumed, especially in the Serbianske forestry region. RIBA reported that the resumption of the offensive in the position of the Serbianske forestry, and the attack seems to be really heavy, and Ukrainian forces reportedly has been surrendering or has been destroyed, their strongholds destroyed, with the Russian forces pushing in multiple directions. In the Serbianske forestry, according to War Gonzo, is actually in the direction of Shipilivka, and there is also fighting near Kuzmeni, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and Dibrova, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. There is also footage of tanks and tanks operating within the Serbianske forestry, as well as the Russian Defense Ministry showing off their flamethrowers, boasting that every time the flamethrowers is near the front line, the Ukrainian forces tend to prefer to surrender rather than fight. Of course, they only know after the artillery strike them, so it's rather scary, because any strike within the area. So if you are anywhere around this region, a single explosion can take out everyone there, and you, even if it's not a direct hit, you will probably have serious injury, which is very, very deadly. That's why the TOS-1A, the flamethrower missile system, is actually very, very powerful. In the northern part of the Kreminna front, the Russian forces also continue to attack within this region here, at Terny, Nevsky, the Zuravka, this Balka, Zuravka, and along the Proshanka region. Proshanka reported by Deep State UA, and there's a Russian Defense Ministry reported fighting at Nevsky. The pro-Russian source reported, RIBA reported the fighting around the area of Balka Zuravka. Zuravka is actually this valley. So this is a valley region. This valley region is a lot of fighting is actually happening around here. So according to RIBA, they say that the Russian forces managed to make some progress in this area here, and also at Terny, according to RIBA. And this attack comes as a counter-attack, after the Ukrainians actually tried to do an attack, which they call it a counter-attack. So the Russian forces repulsed the attack and then went on an offensive, which is a counter-attack. So the counter-attack was countered by the counter-attack, which is a counter-attack. So yeah, it's very confusing. And moving up to the area of south of it. So at the Siversk region, there is fighting reported at Fedorivka, according to War Gonzo. And War Gonzo also reported fighting towards Vesele from the direction of Bilohorivka. So, oops, wrong color. Bilohorivka towards Vesele in this direction. And And there is also fighting reported at Sperne, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There's fighting also reported in the Bilohorivka of the Luhansk region, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So far, all these we do not have details in terms of the progress or what exactly is happening. But so far, Ukrainian lines around the Siversk region, the Siversk Front tends to be very, very strong. So the Russian forces usually can't really break through around this line. So and moving into the Sviatove and Kupyansk front. So the Sviatove is actually this town here, and Kupyansk is actually here. And this front line is a bit hard to define because it's pretty merged. So at the Sviatove region, we have bombardment reported at Avdiivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Russian forces is also reportedly fighting at Stemekivka and Novoselivske from Kuzmivka direction. So the Russian forces are attacking in this way while they bombard the region south of it. And there's fighting also being reported, according to Ukrainian Defense Ministry. As they mentioned, the Russian forces tried to use artillery shelling, then followed by ground attack in Prishani, at Kaislivka, in the region between Sviatove and Kupyansk. So in this direction, and then in the north, in the Kupyansk front itself, the fighting is now mainly around the Krasnohorivka region and Myaslyivka region, with the Ukrainian forces, Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported the fighting around here. The Russian Defense Ministry merely reported shelling at Krasnohorivka region. So it's not, it's pretty much still a very stagnant line around here. We do not really hear much about this region in details. But of course, any location that is fought exclusively by the Russian forces, particularly talking about the military, the Russian military, you're not going to get a lot of information unless it's coming from the Russian Defense Ministry itself, because they do practice operational silence, and they have a very good operational discipline most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. As a result, we don't really get much information, as opposed to the Wagner group or the volunteer forces like the BAS, which actually always give a lot of information, or the Donbas militias. I nowadays hardly see Donbas militias fighting. Maybe they are all inducted into the Russian military, so we don't really hear much about it. Interesting thing is the Ukrainian Defense Ministry talking about the attempt to break through the defense of the lines, of the Ukrainian lines. They actually named Voroshna. Voroshna is actually this town here, or this city or town here. However, this is actually across the river. There's an Oskil river between, as you can see, there's a river here, and it's not known for the Russians to have built any pontoon crossings that allow them to actually cross over to attack Voroshna. So it's a bit weird that they did put Voroshna within the list of settlements that's currently under attack. Perhaps this is only just shelling on Voroshna rather than ground offensive. They are just lazy to write one more line just to talk about that. So that could be the case. And away from this front line, I want to highlight this is outdated information already. And the fighting at Vuhledar. So at the Vuhledar front, this entire offensive has entirely went to hell. And shelling, however, is still being reported at Vuhledar, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. They also reported shelling at Prashistivka. According to Myroshchenikov, the pro-Ukrainian source, they reported fighting at Pelivka, which means the Russian forces is trying to attack over the river, because there is a river here. You can see there's a river here, and they're probably trying to attack and recapture the northern shores of Pelivka, which is also part of Pelivka. He also reported fighting at the Dachas at Mikhailsky, which means that the Russian forces is trying to recapture this area as well. So tentatively, this information is only coming from Myroshchenikov. So he is also a secondary source. His information, there's some unique information that he reports that is not reported by other sources. So but so far his information cannot be invalidated anytime, because so far, there is no such moments of invalidation. So far, this information can still be counted on to a certain extent. And I think I have covered everything. Oh, there's one more thing to cover. So away from the front lines between the Russian and the Ukrainian forces, over at Moldova-Ukraine border, there is an interesting situation. The Ukrainians are building trenches all along the Ukrainian-Moldova border. So this information here is reported by Zoka 200, but there's other sources or information or Telegram channels or Twitter channels are also reporting about this. And according to Moldovan border guards, the Ukrainians are justifying the building of the trenches to fight against illegal immigration and smuggling, which is weird. So this is the information the Moldovan side actually received from Ukraine. And because when you build trenches along the front line or the border region, it does raise eyebrows. And Moldovan government do feel very unsafe, when someone do something like this in their border. But the Ukrainians probably is trying to keep their own people from running away, maybe. And smuggling, maybe to prevent people from taking the arms that is sent to Ukraine out of Ukraine. So that could be the possibility. And I'm not sure if the mapping is correct. I mean, I'm not sure exactly is the Transnistria border, or could it actually be along the Moldovan Ukraine border? No, because Transnistria officially is actually under Moldovan territory, although they have no much control over it. So I'm not sure. I haven't geolocated that photo, but this is just something that we do keep a side eye on. So anyway, this is the summary for the day of 381 for the 11th of March. I believe I've covered everything. This for those that are wondering, this is a new attempt, a new way of trying to cover the war. Rather than we go from an anti-clockwise direction, as I always been doing, we try to focus on the most biggest breaking news that is happening over the past 24 or 48 hours. And this is recommended by History Legends, so to see whether if this increased engagement and retention in the videos. And because if you watch longer, the YouTube algorithm will actually view it as positive, and then they will share this video to more people. So which means that it's more fun, more nice to watch, so people will watch it more. And so anyway, thank you for watching, and do press the like button, subscribe if you have not subscribed, and share this to all your friends and family. And nice quote. I'll see you in the next update.